Hello and welcome back to this channel and welcome to an absolute headache of a job I've got on. Yeah, I know there seems to be a bit of a broken record situation going on here at the moment, but this customer is totally deranged. And I'm going to talk you through a problem that I've got with a customer that I sold a car to nearly a year ago, and he's now giving me a headache for some reason. So sit back, relax, get yourself a coffee or a can of Coke or whatever it is you want to drink, and you are going to enjoy this because this is probably the most stupid complaint I've had in a long time. And that's saying something. Okay, so let's rewind back to August 2024. That's right, we're in June 2025. I sold a BMW 420D. It had done 80 odd thousand miles, nearly 90,000 miles. And I sold it because it had come in on part exchange and it was something that was had really nice service history. The MOTs were perfect, never had an advisory. It was just a nice car all round. But then unfortunately it developed an oil leak, and as a result of which I had to spend quite a bit of money on getting that right. There's actually a video on that. It's one of the early ones that we did. There'll be a link for that in the description below. Anyway, I took it, got it fixed. It was nothing major, just an oil sump gasket. Someone had obviously tried to cover it up when the part exchanged into me. Thank you. So spent a lot of money getting it right. As a result of which, if I'd have traded it out, I would have lost money. So I sold it. Sold it to this chap who's decided after 10 months that he's going to make a phone call to me to put in a complaint. Now, I was working on a Chrysler or looking at a Chrysler Crossfire up on the ramps a couple of days ago. There's a video also in the comments below about this sieve of a car that we took in on part exchange, and there's a withheld number that came through and I ignored it. Now, I don't normally answer withheld numbers because usually there's a reason someone's calling you from a withheld number. Anyway, I foolishly answered this one and ended up speaking to this customer whose English isn't great, or hearing isn't great, or ethics aren't great. I don't know exactly what it is that isn't great about him, but he didn't understand that after 6 months his warranty had expired on the car. He also didn't understand that the problems he was having with the car have absolutely no bearing on whether or not he's in warranty or not in warranty. So the issues that he's had with it are, I'm going to talk you through the email. It might be easier actually, because what he's done, I've basically said to him, we're not interested, I'm really sorry, we can't help you. He wasn't happy about the situation, put the phone down, and the very next day put a complaint into the finance company saying that he was disappointed with the car and wants to raise it as a complaint, etc., etc. The finance company have now emailed me and given me the headache that I have to deal with. I'm going to talk you through the email that I received on Friday afternoon. I was really pleased about it. Anyway, so this is the email that I got through. I've had to edit some of this, obviously, because it's got customer names in, etc. But I've kind of left some stuff in here, the most important stuff as to exactly what the complaint's about. So, dear Rob, I know they put handsome and slim in there, but that's just some people's opinion. The vehicle, which is obviously this 4 Series, and then the hirer, which is the person that bought it on finance. They call it a hirer because you don't own the car, which is Mr. P. Taker. We would like to make you aware of a complaint that we've received from a certain finance company who, what they like to do is any complaint just assume the customer is right and the dealer is wrong in relation to a vehicle that's been sold by you as a supplying dealer. Blah, 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 and it commenced on the 30th of August last year. Anyway, these are the points of the complaint. Are you ready? The customer reports that the oil is dirty, right? The car is making noises when braking, okay? The brake pads and the brake discs are faulty. The Bluetooth connection is faulty. And just a caveat on this, this has all been checked by Quick Fit. Now, look, I appreciate that every business needs to make money, but I know people who work at Quick Fit and I know that their job is to sell discs, pads, tyres, etc. That's what they do. Then, you know, whether or not they tell you it needs doing, it doesn't need doing is, you make your own judgment on that one. The aircon's not working properly. It doesn't cool as quickly as it should. I mean, talk about a list of problems that aren't problems. Obviously, the brakes could be a problem, but the issue I've got with this is when I spoke to the customer the day before, I explained to him, look, you've had the car for 10 months and you've done over 6,000 miles in the car, and you are complaining that your car might need replacement discs and pads. Now, there is an argument there that a new set of discs and pads will last you longer than 6,000 miles, and they will. They weren't new, it is a second-hand car, and the car was MOT'd at an independent garage and they were all fine. But crucially, and this is really important, the guy's done 6,000 miles in it in 10 months and not had a problem. Okay? I don't know how he's been driving that car, I don't know whether or not he's been rallying the car or whatever it is, but I can't comment on how he's been driving it. What they've basically said to me is that they need to investigate the complaint and they need to investigate it fully and fairly. So they asked for more information from me. They wanted a timeline of the events, any details of the repair works since point of sale, of which there were none, any future repair works, which of course there are going to be none, original advertisement for the car, and also a copy of the pre-delivery inspection report if available. Now the pre-delivery inspection report is something that most dealers do on the car. They check that everything's all right. Most of the stuff on a pre-delivery inspection report that he's talking about here is actually done on an MOT. So we don't even need what they call a PDI at this stage. However, what they've said is, whilst we appreciate that the complaint has been raised outside of 6 months from point of sale, if the customer can prove the faults were present or developing within this time, they're entitled to exercise their consumer rights in escalating this matter to the Financial Ombudsman Service for consideration. So what they basically said is you might want to contact the customer to discuss it. I really don't. I've had the conversation with him. He was very much in the camp that he wants me to put my hand in my pocket for his problems, and I was very much in the camp that I don't want to, and I'm not going to. It's just constant, this sort of stuff. You know the problem with this? It saps up so much time and energy. I suspect what's going to happen here is this guy ain't going to let it go. He's not going to let it go. He's going to try and get an independent report, and we've been here before with these independent reports, which basically means you pay an inspector to come out and look at the car and see whether or not these faults would have been there at point of sale. And usually, in my experience, whoever pays the person to inspect it tends to get the favourable result. We've got one going on at the moment with AC at Lyon, which I ended up pulling the video for because it's going to court. I'll tell you about that one in due course when we get a result on it. And basically on that report, the conclusion was, this is probably due to the way that the car has been driven. However, because we can't comment on how the current guy has been driving it, it must have been the person who was driving it before Rob sold it. So they can be a little bit biased, to say the least. So I know where that's going to go. Now, crucial on here, it says, in most cases, the customer has the right to refer the complaint to the Financial Ombudsman Service, which involves a standard fee of £750, which we'll expect you to meet if we get to that point. This is the problem with this industry, because a set of discs and pads on that car might be a few £100 and an ombudsman fee is £750. So not a lot of dealers at this point, when it gets to that stage, just go, I'll just pay. I'm not having it. I'm not having it. So I have compiled a response, which I'm going to talk you through now. And you see whether or not, I'd love to know whether or not you think I'm being out of order here. I don't think I am. I just think this is ridiculous. Are we ready? I've put, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I've spoken to this customer already, and here is my response for you. The main points of the complaint are as follows, and I go in and I break down every point of the complaint and what my thoughts are on that part of the complaint. So we'll start off with the oil. Let's have a swig of this. The customer reports that the oil is dirty. I've put, the customer advises me that it's covered 6,000 miles in a diesel BMW without going into the internal workings of a 2-litre diesel engine that's covered nearly 90,000 miles at point of sale and has done over 6,000 miles since its last oil change. Obviously, the oil isn't going to look clean. I think I'm fairly to the point there. Now, the other thing there as well is, the question I'm asking myself is, why is he looking at the oil? Well, unless he's got an oil leak, which is probably more important. So I'm really, okay. They don't have a dipstick on these either, so it's not like he's dipping the oil to, I don't know, I don't understand. Next point, the car makes noises when braking. The car left us with a clean MOT, conducted by an independent MOT tester. We don't do it in-house, we use someone because there's no conflict in interest. He made no comment on any issues with braking until now. We cannot comment on how he's been driving the car, however, clearly, consumables are not covered under any instance. So even if he had a warranty and he wanted to claim for discs and pads, any warranty company in the land aren't going to pay for that. Now, I have truthfully had issues with cars that have gone through MOT tests in the past. We've had one recently off a chap, and he noticed a judder when he was on a motorway doing motorway speeds. Now, I suspect, considering the car that we've sold him, he was doing motorway speeds. Now, it wasn't picked up on an MOT. Normally, they check for fluctuation on brake discs, etc. The discs did have a lip on them. We had this discussion when he was in here. Long story short, he's within his first sort of week or two, and I've just said, look, let's just sort these out, because if you're not happy with them, then sort them. So we're not afraid of coming to the party for something that's been missed or something that isn't right or whatever. We all make mistakes. Even MOT testers make mistakes. That's fine. But after 10 months and 6,000 miles and never bringing it up, pull the other one, mate. Point 3, the brake pads and brake discs are faulty. Now, in my opinion, discs and pads are either faulty, because they're not working, or they're not faulty, because they're working. So I'm not sure exactly what's meant by they are faulty. Apologies if you can hear that car that's just fired up. Callum's rightly on with work this morning. The car left us with a clean MOT, conducted by an independent MOT tester. I'm kind of going over what I've gone over before in here. However, what I'm putting is I thought we cannot comment on how he's been driving the car. However, clearly he's managed to stop it during the last 10 months, and consumables are not covered under any instance. Anyway, I've put again, he's covered considerable mileage. Now, he's mentioned the Bluetooth on this. Now, we remember this customer. We remember him very well. It was Callum that dealt with this deal. Now, usually when someone comes in and buys a car, we normally pair their phone up to the car as part of the handover process. It's just a nice thing to do. When you get into a car and you're not familiar with it, it's difficult, isn't it, to kind of think, oh, where's the Bluetooth? They're not. We're used to it because we do with, obviously, a lot of cars, and I tend to, you should see my Bluetooth list on my phone. It's just lists of cars that I've paired to. So I know we connected his phone up to him, and we particularly know with this customer that his phone was connected to it because the first thing he wanted to do when it was paired up was test his music on the Harman Kardon sound system, and he blared a very distinctive choice of music through our showroom. So we know it worked. For some reason he thinks it's faulty. We know this anyway, so I've put in here that we know it works. So it works. Then he's put on the air conditioning. Now, it has to be pointed out that this customer bought this car in summer last year and has a problem with his air conditioning in summer this year. Now, I hate to be that guy, but I've got a sneaky feeling that it was working last year. So what I did do as part of a thorough investigation is I checked the Met Office database to see what the temperatures were last year. And in September, the UK peaked at 30 degrees centigrade. And in the week that he's making the complaint in, we've not yet seen temperatures that high. So it was clearly working. And it sounds like it needs a top-up, which is not our responsibility. Now, I'll finish off the email by saying, I'd like to think that from the tone of this email, you already know what our answer is as how we'd like to deal with this. If you want any further information, please let me know. This took half an hour to an hour. I had to get the pre-delivery inspection out, I had to go through everything again, check the MOT, check there'd be definitely service, all that sort of stuff. It's not, no it is, I'm annoyed about everything. I'm annoyed about the fact that he just seems to think, and I said to him on the phone, he said, I wasn't aware it was only a 6 months warranty. I said, that kind of isn't the point, because even if it was in the 6 month warranty, this sort of stuff just isn't covered. It's part and parcel of running a second-hand car. The car was 12 grand for a car that would have been 40 or 50 grand new. It's used, it's had the best of it out of it. This is kind of the point of it. And I did say to him, I said, look, at what point are we meant to stop covering stuff? And he said, I don't know, it's not my problem. Well, I think you find it's going to be your problem because I refuse to get involved on this one. What I am going to do is keep you updated with this situation, and if it goes to court, I will keep you posted with that situation as well. I've got a court case going on at the moment with the guy that decided he would crack on with some repairs on his car and not tell us, and then try and put a claim in for £12,500 for an engine rebuild, at which point we said, no, we had no idea what was going on, and he decided he's going to take that one to the Ombudsman. This is what's making it difficult to be a car dealer, because you know what it is, if this guy had a problem in the first few months, I'd have been going, bring it in, let's have a look. If something's been missed, we want to do it right. Genuinely, we want to do the job right because it's important having a good reputation. This guy's just trying it on, and I'm not having it. Anyway, it's just tiring. And more to the point, I've now just done another half an hour telling you about it, but hopefully it does good views and we get paid. It might cover the cost of the amount of time that I've lost on it. Anyway, what do you think? Do you think I'm being a bit of a git? Do you think I should be doing something here? Do you think that the customer is way, way out of line? I know where I'm at with it. It'd be interesting to know where you're at with it. And be interesting to see where this goes on. So thanks for tuning in. If you've not subscribed, please do. Bell icon on. Comment, subscribe, like and share. All that jazz. I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.